Believers who are joining the tech space, who are doing the absolute most in this space, which can be a very challenging one. Thank you so much, DJ. So our next topic for this morning actually is why should we be more intentional in investing in women in tech, curbing the bias. And of the word intentional, because I think if there's anything we've learned over the years, is there's a lot of chit-chat, kitchen tea parties, and people having ideas about how we can help out our sisters. But most of the time, all it is conversations, and nothing ever happens from it. So I'm looking forward to this conversation evolving into something else as we start teaching our ladies to be able to take up their seats in the tech space as well. So I would like to welcome Sarah Medina, if you can come and join on stage. Florence, welcome back onto the stage as well. Blanca, we've got Miss Anita, Jonathan and Geraldine also. It's a full stage this morning. A round of applause, please, for our speakers this morning. Thank you so much. Enjoy. It's a fantastic topic, and I look forward to learning from you.
Just checking. There we go. Great. Nate, are we changing the... I think it's sorted. Yeah, thanks. Great. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you and to my panelists. Thank you for joining. So this is a topic that's actually quite close to my heart, and I'm super passionate about being a woman in tech. What I'd like to do is just start with a quick introduction of myself and then go around and allow the panel to introduce themselves. So I'm Geraldine Young. I work for AWS South Africa. I look after the BBBE team, and my focus at AWS is actually small and medium enterprise development. So really what I'm passionate about and what we do every day is invest, enable, and develop South African businesses to become fully fledged AWS partners. And we're very proud of the work we've done. And we certainly enjoy the partnerships we have with AfricArena and various other institutions and organizations in South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. So I'm going to hand over to my right.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. Really a great pleasure to be with all of you.
Is your mic on? Just double check. Thank you. I think so. There we go.
Thank you so much, Geraldine. A great pleasure to be with all of you. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate all the AfricArena team, Christophe, Nathaniel, and the whole team for the excellent job in organizing this event. So I come from Portugal. My name is Sarah Medina. I work for an organization called SPI, and we are a consulting company acting in the area of science and technology and innovation, working a lot in Africa, also in China, USA, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and we really manage different types of partnerships, working a lot with the European Commission, with the World Bank, African Development Bank, but also with the private sector, and also with the research, with the universities and research institutes and the business incubators, science parks, and so on. So a great pleasure to be with all of you here today. Thank you so much.
Okay, Anita Ramsaran. I'm from the Technology Innovation Agency. It's an agency based in South Africa. It's an entity of government that is set up to fund technologies at very early stage, at some cases from idea, right up to commercialization. I was in the previous round in Gauteng of this event, and on the same topic, I hope I can say what's been done since then. Thanks.
Wonderful. Good to meet you.
So hello everyone, I'm Blanca Rivas. I work for Plug and Play. It's a venture capital firm from Silicon Valley, and I lead investments in Africa. We did more than 30 investments in the continent, and we have more than 32 unicorns in our portfolio. I'm really happy to be here.
Hey. Hi, I'm Jonathan Oka. I'm from Cloudser. We founded Cloudser in 2015, and we've been working alongside AWS for the last 3 years into scaling up the next generation of youth in the industry. We work with startups through the initial stages to get them to MVP. We work through the technical fundamentals around that, and then we take that to market with them and assist them in kind of building out a solution that could go global at the end of that service run. So,
Thanks, Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Florence from Launch Africa Ventures. I'm head of platform and operations. So in our first fund, it's $36 million. We have 133 investments across 22 countries. We are an early stage Pan-African fund. My role is how we scale our own fund and also help our founders grow and scale their businesses.
Thank you, Florence. And so I want to start off with a quote, and there's certainly many data points I have, as mentioned by Scott Young, that supports why we should be investing more in female and women-led techs. But no industry or country can reach its full potential until women reach their full potential. And this is especially the case in science and technology, where women with surplus of talent are still facing a deficit of opportunities. And this quote comes from Sheryl Sandberg, the former CEO from Meta. And so there's some statistics that I've read recently that I'd like to share as we kick off the panel discussion. Only 14% of African tech startups are women. And between 2022 and 2023, 711 African tech startups were invested in. Of that, 149 of the 711 were co-founded by women. And of the 149, 83 had female CEOs. Another stat that came from the African Tech Ecosystem Report was that female-led startups were able to raise 188 million in 2022, which is 4%. But male-led ventures raised 4.6 billion, being the remaining 96%. And so, Florence, I want to start with you. Why are there so few women or female tech entrepreneurs?
Wow, what a question. Well, first of all, I'm pleased to hear that actually we're above average in that percentage. So around 23% of our portfolio has a female founder or a co-founder. I'm going to wear a maternal hat for this panel. I'm currently 4 months pregnant.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So there's actually 6.5 of us on stage. And my 18-month-old is also in town with my husband. I have a very supportive family and supportive company that I work for. And I think that's where one of the things that we need to look at, right? And if I really think about the capitalist element of venture capital, is that women have babies, right? And the reason why the human race continues to exist is because women and men have children, right? But women have an active role in this. Our bodies are used in this process for far longer than men's. And it is something that many women want to do, to have children and have a family. But then also, women want to have a career, have a job, right? I feel like women, we always talk about my career, your career. Actually, no, I earn a living for my family, right? And building a business is very, very difficult and time-consuming and capital-consuming. And it is hard enough being in a supportive company to be a mother and to run a business. And let's remember that these things, we glorify young founders, right? These things are going to be happening concurrently in your life. And so we need to look at how we are supporting mothers who are founders and supporting the founders that we have who are going to become mothers. And I'm fortunate that I have a company. I was able to breastfeed my daughter until she was 15 months. Right, but if I'm a founder, I don't know if I would have even started my family, or maybe I would have had to make that choice. And I'm not saying that that is a decision that every female founder makes, but it is a decision that some will have to make, which will cut off a load. And it's also something, an unconscious or a conscious bias in many investors' heads. I have heard an investor during a public pitch evaluation say, oh, well, it's a female founder, I'd have to think about whether she's going to be going on maternity leave in the next year. Right, that's something he said in public.
Yeah.
Right? And if he's saying that in public, what are the rest thinking, men and women, in their heads? So I think how we create space for mothers and how we normalize motherhood and founderhood.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Florence. I'd like to just add another point that, according to Forbes, in an article released on the 13th of November, there's enough data that shows that female entrepreneurs have outperformed male entrepreneurs by 63%, yet female founders battle with barriers around funding from venture capitalists to banks. Sarah, I'd like to ask you, are women hesitant to start businesses? And do you think this is one of the reasons?
So I think there is a lot of pressure on the females, I think from the personal perspective and from the family perspective, but also I think from the society perspective. I think from the women always feels more pressure than the men. I think that comes also from the education, and also in a lot of countries the women have less possibilities to go to school and to have a proper education. And I feel that that has really an impact on the women that can be successful and in this area of startups. But I'm very impressed with so many women that I could see here speaking today and yesterday, and really so well that they spoke. Another thing is the self-confidence. I think, for instance, in the US, the schools, they prepare very well in terms of self-confidence. And from the start, from very, very early ages in the education, in the primary school, in the high school, they learn how to make presentations, how to speak in public. And I think that's really a very high point to contribute to their future development and their professional career. In Europe, we are less used to have that type of education. Usually the schools, they provide very much theoretical knowledge, not so much applied knowledge. And I think that's something that could be very beneficial in the future to have more high-tech startups. On the other hand, technology sometimes is seen as to be a kind of a topic more for men than for women. And for instance, in schools, women prefer to follow other types of careers and not really the technology topics and really the engineering. They feel, oh, this is really more for men and the classes only have boys, so why should I be there instead of going for more on social sciences, for instance, that should be supposed to be more trendy in terms of women. So I think we need to really change that perception and make technology more trendy for women and have some role models, because if we have a role model, usually someone wants to follow the role model. I play tennis, for instance, and I just learned that Serena Williams is investing here in Africa in some startups. I think that's really excellent. And I think she can be also a very good role model for future women to be active in technology. So from my perspective, I work a lot with the European Commission, so we can also help in accessing funding from the European Commission, also African Development Bank. So I would be very keen in liaising with women technology startups and trying to help on what I can from mainly from the European perspective. I'm based in Portugal, but I can also reach Latin America and China, and I know China right now has a lot of interest in Africa, because as you know, the tensions between China and Europe are quite high. So China is really now trying to face other regions, and I think there is a great opportunity also in terms of access to funds in liaising with Chinese organizations. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Anita, I'd like your perspective on this. You know, working in a local organization within South Africa, what is your perspective on women and being hesitant to start techs? You know, what have you seen in the local market?
Okay, so I'll speak in the perspective of a government organization. And I think it's critical the role that government plays. So there's several policies in the South African space that speaks about gender equality and gender equity around transformation. And what we've observed at TIA is that a lot of the efforts has been incidental instead of intentional. Right, and there has, we've actually looked at the situational analysis in the country, and we've noticed that there's a lot of programs, and the programs on transformation will generally be coupled with youth, women, people with disabilities. But there hasn't been an intentional effort in terms of addressing the challenges faced by women tech entrepreneurs. So what we've done is we've launched 3 new programs in the organization, and one is Women Technology and Innovation Program. And here the focus is we looked at where the gaps were, and we looked at across the tech spectrum. So we have on the extreme end rural women, SMMEs, cooperatives, etc. What are their unique challenges in accessing the tech space? Why is their participation low? We also looked at the perspective of gendered innovation. In other words, how does your investment in innovation has biases towards particular genders? For an example, when the COVID vaccine first came out, many of you are familiar that it had adverse effects on women. And so there's lots of money spent on R&D, but we don't really understand the gendered perspective of the particular technology that we want to do. The second area that we found that is quite critical is an area which we call move to market, is where there is female innovators sitting at science councils, universities, etc., but finding difficulties in crossing the commercialization bridge. Right. And in that, we're looking at a specific initiative, we tailor-making programs so that we've heard this term, moving the needle, so many times today, but there's nothing being done to move the needle at all in terms of women innovators. And our initiatives, we're hoping that will try to at least move the needle. The third area that we found is when we invest in technologies, we would invest in a founder, a person who comes up with the technology, but we would not invest in somebody who's identified the technology, developed at a university, but the university has no interest in taking that further. So how do you, as a female founder, become a licensee to that technology and deploy that technology and therefore create more enterprises with that? So we are tailor-making a program around a diffusion aspect where you, as a female founder, become a licensee in that technology. And then the last area is we're looking at women face many challenges. What are the tech solutions for challenges faced by women? That we heard about some of the you have maternal challenges, you have sanitary health challenges, but we don't see sufficient technologies that support women challenges in the country. So this program that we've started at TIA is trying to fill those gaps. And I always believe if you don't get a space at a VC table, create your own table. We've heard female founders are creating VC companies, or
Absolutely.
a female VC company earlier on today. Yes, let's do that.
We love
if you
that.
don't. But I also believe that any company thrives best when there's diversity in the team, and that is gender diversity as well as other forms of diversity. Thanks, Bianca.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Yeah.
Anita. And so I'd like to just share one more stat that I picked up. Again, the World Bank states that in the US, women-owned firms are growing at an immense pace, double the pace of other firms, and that they're contributing $3 trillion to the economy.
Wow.
as well as creating at least 23 million jobs. And so these are very powerful statistics that are out there by large, reputable organizations. Blanca, what do you believe is the biggest barrier women tech founders have to overcome?
So, I think that woman founders, what you have to overcome first of all is stigma around us. And one thing I see personally as a woman working in finance is a lot of times when you want to raise funds or when you are in the room as the only woman, a lot of people think you are there because you're a woman. Because the marketing towards us, we do have to talk about diversity and women and empowering each other, but sometimes the perception people have is like we are there because we